Enterprise Development Initiative, mentioned that the government is particularly aware of youth development issues and as such works on training programs to attend to their welfare.
In our programs at the Ministry of Youth and Sports and our various satellite institutions, we are very much into engaging young people in skills and entrepreneurship training. And we know that JCI is involved in training young people to acquire some very good life skills.
SANE therefore urged the participants and young people in general to work harder and make use of development avenues availed to them by government.
For that matter, I want to implore on behalf of our ministry on all of you to work extra harder to make sure that we utilize the opportunities that are created for young people of this country.
Another speaker at the forum was Mbari Job of the National Youth Council, who dilated on various youth issues. Job said the Gambia has a high youthful population and as such need to work hard on youth development issues such as equipping them with skills outside the classroom.
It has been discovered that in order to improve the competence level of young people, they may require certain skills outside the school system. As a result of the global financial crisis, the government of the Gambia developed a national response that recognized the active participation of young people.
With young people forming the bulk of our society, youth gatherings like this one could be very instrumental in the socio-economic advancement of the Gambia as a platform where young people from diverse backgrounds are reminded about their obligations to the motherland. For GRTS News, I am Deku Mademba.
Officials are making moves to find a lasting solution to the region land dispute between residents of Mandinaring, Makumbaya, Kerawan and Lamen, and one Lamen Jaju, the supposed alcalo of the settlement at the center of the dispute. The director of the Department of Physical Planning, Modu Koli, recently visited the area as part of efforts to end the 5-year-old conflict. Aji Amisise tells us more about the report.
The dispute between Lamin Jaju, who claims to be the alcalo of the settlement people call Babylon, and those claiming ownership of the land erupted in 2008. Then the atmosphere was quite tense, and it led to the deployment of law enforcement officers to the area to prevent further escalation. 5 years on, officials are still trying to find a solution to the dispute that has been festering like an open sore. The latest effort involved a visit to the land at the center of the dispute by officials from the Physical Planning Department.
The role of my office is not to solve this problem, but it is to advise how this problem can be solved. And that is why we are here today. What we are going to do first, my office has divided its tasks into 3 stages. First, we want to make sure and map out completely and clearly this parcel of land that lies between the villages I have mentioned earlier. Where is it and how is it? That's one step. We provide that map for the country. The second stage would be, we also invite the villagers or the traditional owners who own this land and are all the time claiming to show us what is their traditional boundaries. We will also map that out and show it as an advice to the final decision makers.
Despite the dispute, the area is developing rapidly. There is a school and what looks like well-built houses are sprouting up. The visit team's task includes valuing structures in the area, and their mere presence was enough to attract the attention of those claiming ownership of the land. The alcalo of Mandineri, Fa Sise, who spoke at length about the history of the settlement, was quick to urge the relevant authorities to act without delay to avert a potentially explosive situation. A number of people have acquired plots of land in the settlement and are eagerly awaiting the outcome of the recent intervention by the authorities.
People who are buying land anywhere, anyhow, should be very cautious and be very careful, because land is not readily available nowadays. And there are people outside who just want to make money. We'll always try to convince you to get your money, even they know fully well that you are not going to be documented. Because my advice would be, if anybody shows you any land, before you go into it, first authenticate it by asking the indigenous including the alcalo, if they say yes, it belongs to this man and it belongs to that family, go ahead. Then before you do any other developments, get to the Department of Physical Planning and Housing and find out whether has never been a government reserve or whether government will document you for the purpose you want it for.
The rising value of land, especially in the Greater Banjul area, is driving prices up and fueling a rush to acquire land for residential purposes. For GRTS News, I am Ajami Sise.
The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry met with partners to discuss the Interstate Road Transit Scheme designed to ease transportation amongst ECOWAS member states. As Abdullah Baji reports, the meeting also availed member states the opportunity to find solutions to issues affecting transportation issues in the aforementioned countries.
Boosting interstate trade in the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in partnership with other stakeholders, including the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Regional Integration, met to discuss the Interstate Road Transit Scheme, ISRT. The scheme is meant to promote interstate trade by making the transportation of goods easier, effective and hitch-free. The scheme is an initiative of ECOWAS which has been implemented by some West African states. The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry is the institution which is going to be the guarantor of the implementation of the ISRT, with key support from a committee comprised of various stakeholders. Almami Funding Tal, the CEO of GCCI, said the scheme is one that will aid in the promotion of trade in the sub-region, which would boost the socio-economic capacity of the various countries, the Gambia inclusive. Transportation of goods, he says, is key, and the government of the Gambia is fully determined to making the port of Banjul comparable to none in the sub-region.
This scheme is going to ensure that. We know that there are a lot of stakes attached to this. We know that there are a lot of interests involved in this. We know that the Gambian transporting community want to make sure that this is to their benefit as well. We know also that the government wants to encourage the whole idea of making Gambia the entry port of West Africa.
Delivering the guidelines on behalf of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Regional Integration, the senior trade economist Mrs. Baturu Kamara was quick to point out that the scheme will go a long way in the control of transportation, which sometimes could lead to fatal road accidents if accurate measures are not put in place. She, however, emphasized that the scheme will not lead to increase in cost.
The guidelines have indicated specific things. One of the things is for you to know that it is not a cost-added burden. It's not going to implement SRT would not add any cost to whatever you are paying now, the current situation, because when some of these things comes in, the first thing that comes to the operators, especially the business people, is government trying to bring in more cost or add more cost to whatever their operations are doing.
Deputy Commissioner Babukar Kah of the Gambia Police Force, one of the key members of the committee, said vehicle testing is always conducted by the police in ensuring that vehicles that embark on such journeys are fit to ply the road.
As at now, we've tested 7 trucks which we have found to be roadworthy. And any defects found during the testing, you are issued with a certificate of prohibition. That certificate of prohibition disqualifies that vehicle to be on the road.
The promotion of interstate road transit scheme is key in the promotion of trade amongst countries, as always championed by ECOWAS. It is key that efforts are put in place in supporting the interstate road transit scheme in the Gambia via the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. For GRTS News, I am Abdullah Baji.
We now take our first break. The news continues right after. Welcome back. U.S. President Barack Obama has spoken at the memorial service for victims of the Boston bombings. The interfaith service was attended by a